take you back 8 years from now. June 2015. Me and my family are having dinner on the dinner table, and the newscaster shares the breaking news. 1,200 people have died, and the death toll is rising by each hour. Our response to the situation? We paused, sighed, thanked God that the AC is still working and the power backup is working fine, and we moved on. But that was 8 years from now, right? However, the present is worse than the past. Back in summer 2023, I was driving to my university, and the newscaster shared the news on the radio. Due to heavy downpour, flash floods and landslides along Indus and Kabul River have left 1,000 people dead and 1,600 injured. 1,000 dead? I paused, dwelled in sorrow for just a few seconds, and moved on. Not much difference in 8 years, right? Being a geographer, I always remained interested to track the paths of the cyclones. And Cyclone Biparjoy is no exception. I read the news about the massive evacuation carried out by the government of Pakistan, including approximately 8,000 people. I paused, thought about the plight of those who had been moved, and then moved on. Will I remain climate insensitive unless and until these impacts directly attack me? And this is exactly how you all are responding to the climate adversities around us. Because we are becoming climate insensitive. We are prone to slow acclimatization, like a frog in a warming water, as we keep adapting to the challenges that our climate is offering us. Adaptation at a personal level, not caring about the future generations. And I know, in your heads, this is exactly what you want me to do now. Move on. But is climate change actually happening? Pakistan offers tons of examples of extreme climatic events. Let's look at some examples from Lithosphere. Temperature remains the driver of all the climatic variables. Pakistan has witnessed an annual average temperature rise of 1.6 degrees Celsius in the last century, which is more than the global increase of 1.1 degrees Celsius. 2017, Pakistan recorded the fourth highest ever recorded temperature on planet Earth, 53.7 degrees Celsius. June 2015, the mercury hit 50 degrees Celsius. Especially the districts of Balochistan and Sindh were most affected. The resultant heat wave caused approximately 2,000 people to die across the country. 2022, another horrifying heat wave in Cholistan left thousands of animals dead. The rain patterns also continue to dwindle with the climate change, which results in droughts in the drylands. We experienced the most worst drought of our history from 1988 till 2003. And since then till present, we have been facing one type of drought or another, which leads to drastic impacts on food insecurity, especially for the people who are living below the poverty line. If we look at the impacts of climate change on Hydrosphere, Pakistan is no exception. The heat waves usually are followed by floods. These heat waves cause rapid melting of the glaciers, which result in glacial lake outburst flood events. From 2007 to 2017, there have been 6 consecutive glacial lake outburst flood events from Gulkin Glacier alone, which led to deaths of 1,000 people and massive destruction of the Karakoram Highway. As the low pressures continue to develop because of high heat They attract the rain-bearing winds from the nearby high-pressure areas, in most of the cases, from oceans. Therefore, we, the Pakistanis, have been experiencing earlier, more frequent, and more intense monsoons, which have resulted in catastrophic flooding in Pakistan. 2010 flood, 20 million people were affected across the country, and a massive blow of $43 billion was caused to the economy of our country. Then we had the floods of 2011, 14, 15, and then the latest one, 2022 floods, which affected 33 million people across the country, and 1,800 died. The coastal areas of Pakistan are experiencing more frequent cyclones. Cyclone Biparjoy is the recent example. And the reason is a rise in the sea surface temperatures. Experts have noted that the formulation of tropical cyclones in the Arabian Sea has increased 10 times in the last 20 years. These cyclones not only impact the coastal areas through floods, but also the sea level rises and poses threats to the coastal cities. The cryospheric evidences from our country are also showing the impacts of horrifying climate events. Even the most ambitious targets of limiting the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century will result in melting of 1/3 of Pakistan's glaciers. The glaciers of Himalaya are retreating at a 10 times faster rate than their average rate. The glaciers of Gilgit-Baltistan and KPK are also retreating at a very massive and speedy rate, which has resulted in the formulation of 3,000 glacial lakes, which can burst any time and pose threat to 7 million people who live downstream. So yes, let's accept that all these affairs of Earth are presenting us the evidences of climatic catastrophes. But it is we who have become prone to these examples as we continue to shut our eyes. But we have to accept that we can't close our eyes to the rising temperatures, like frog in simmering water. We are human beings, and we need to respond to the actions that we have done, in which we are the contributors. Among the most vulnerable groups, women, children, and the aged, who are living below the poverty line, are the most exposed to the vagaries of climate change. But we, the privileged city dwellers, continue to adapt to climate change because of our so-called purchasing power. So, what do we do? Do we continue to keep sitting and waiting for the government or the international government to do something? Do we continue to see the news and feel bad about the victims of climate change? The world is already doing its part by organizing the Conference of Parties meetings and making the countries accountable for their greenhouse gas emissions. Let's together just probe down to the grassroots level. Yes, I'm talking about you and me. I would like to share an important quote with you, a good saying. We as individuals are important contributors. Each action that we take per individual decides how much we are contributing to the impacts of climate change. The mutual impacts on the global climate is the result of our individual decisions and choices. So let's just focus on these individual choices by each person sitting amongst the audience. Yes, I'm talking about you and me. We can begin by simply spreading the word in our circles of influence. We can start by making a change to develop a culture of calculating each household's carbon emissions. We can shift our modes of transport to cycling, perhaps to public transport. And if car is unavoidable, try making many people avail its facility at the same time. We can think of beginning kitchen gardening. Plant a single plant, for example, for your own use in your kitchen. We can work on shifting to vegan diets, eat low on the food chain, rely less on dairy and meat products, produce less food waste, try composting if possible. Our little efforts to reduce the carbon footprint at individual level might include simple everyday tasks like unplug the devices when not in use, dry the clothes on the cloth line instead of a cloth dryer. Try to shift to renewable sources of energy, even at a small scale. Use energy-efficient appliances. Think about using the gray water. Try collecting the rainwater and start using it in your garden. Trust me, these little steps can make a great change. Let's not remain climate insensitive and be conscious of our role in protecting our home, our earth. Thank you.